Hey guys, Tony's out this week, so I've got an episode from our archives for you. Hope you enjoy.
Hi, welcome to Therapy, Tech, and Takeout, where humor meets healing with bite-sized wisdom and techie tips.
I'm Jackie Toll, entrepreneur, tech investor, and girl enjoying summer this week.
Oh, love that. I'm Toni Teixeira. I'm a therapist, entrepreneur, ethics nerd, and recovering overthinker. And I am trying to pack this week, and I have suitcases that feel like they're going to fall on top of me and crush me.
Do your
So.
animals get stressed when they see you packing?
Totally. Totally get stressed. The cat jumps into the suitcase. That's the first thing that happens. And our large golden retriever, Tucker, he whines a little bit. He kind of walks around and he looks, got that little sad face. And our new guy doesn't really, he's not sure yet what's going on. He's only with us a year, so he's not quite
He's
sure
like,
with
I can
those
take them, leave them, whatever. They'll come
suitcases
back.
mean.
Yeah.
Jackie, I have no clothes. This is the struggle is real. Like I have a ton of clothes and I have no idea what to pack. We're going from 90-degree weather in the UK to 50-degree weather in Iceland. So I have to pack
Oh
my whole
yeah.
wardrobe. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope you have better luck than I did. I went to the UK and Iceland like in that order a few years back, and I actually was in the UK for like a while. Um, and my big suitcase that had, and I was going in the winter, my big suitcase that had everything I needed, didn't make it like to Heathrow.
Oh
And
no.
so, and then it was like, and there was like strikes happening and like whatever. And so like it was literally like moments before I was supposed to leave for Iceland that I was able to get my bag.
That's crazy. You want to hear my strategy packing? So we're,
Yes.
we're going to be in the UK for 3 days and we have a wedding to go to. So I have a carry-on bag that has a garment bag like inside of it. So I have our dress, my husband's suit. I'm going to pack just for the UK in that bag and then everything else and a couple of little extras. So when we get to Iceland, so for a couple days, we don't make it, I'll have
You
something.
have
So
a
that's
little something.
my strategy. Hopefully that will
Nice.
work. So, and the other thing that I'm feeling, I'm like really feeling a lot of gratitude toward you,
Oh.
Jackie. I wanted to tell you because I really feel like I'm learning from you. And you shared like this podcast with me that I really loved that I would never have even found if it wasn't for you. So I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate you and like you're
Oh.
having an impact on my life and you're teaching
Oh.
me
I really
stuff.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that.
You're welcome. And like the we were talking last time about uh relationships with chatbots and stuff.
Right?
And I thought about like, wow, I'm kind of naive. I really didn't know that. So that was like kind of the impetus to this too, to like this appreciation that I'm like, oh yeah, there's like stuff I'm kind of isolated sometimes and I forget about what's going on in the world. So I love that we're doing this because I'm probably not the only person that's like, what? That's out there. It's great.
That's awesome. No, I find the same thing. I mean, I think that what you brought to the table this week, it was fun. The what we're going to talk about this week too, because
Yeah.
it's a show I love, and I won't steal the introduction of it from you, but it's a show I love, and so when you mentioned it, I was like, yay, because it's another one of those things that like not. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. I kind of have to watch it when nobody's in the house because nobody else really loves either him or his point of view, or I don't know exactly what it is for everybody else in my family, but it is like my favorite time of the week when I sit down and I watch Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. So,
Yeah, John Oliver. Yeah. So it was just kind of it's kind of part of our routine in our house that when there's a new episode, when it drops, we watch it together, my husband and I, and the topic was apropos. It was AI slop. And I just was really drawn into it because of the images. And I have a daughter who's actually an animator, right? So all the things, all the visuals that they can do now that AI can do that looks real, it is crazy. People really question what's real and what's not real. And all these images that you can put out there have an effect on, like what we think is true and what, like
right?
how, because they look so real. It used to be back in the day, if there was a picture of something that meant it happened. And now it's not like that. We really have to question, if there's a recording of voices, right? They
Oh
can
yeah.
fake voices really, really well. We had that whole thing with the Biden campaign.
Yep.
They faked his voice on auto calls out to the community. And now with some of it. Now some of it is cutesy. I love John Oliver, how he started with the image of the sad cat and
Oh
like
yeah.
the relationship with the child. Like that's fun and funny. And a lot of people probably it's going viral and they're making, tons of money on some of this stuff. But my question to you is like really, um, what happens when it's a bigger issue? What happens when it's a deep fake? What happens when it's a fake that is really going to affect people? And I really would love to hear your take and your thoughts about that episode.
For sure. Well, I think one of the things that, when you say that, that jumps to my mind, was I know John Oliver covered some of this stuff, I think from like the hurricanes that happened last summer. And so, I wanted to see like, how even in like the short period of time, how is this or is this AI generated stuff having a deterrent impact or an impact on the rescue efforts happening in Texas right now, right? Because we've got,
Right.
another similar type natural disaster there. And what I found was that, like, one, like, the thing that seemed to be like the biggest like problem with it was that people, well-intentioned people, were getting misinformation
Mm-hmm.
about like where to go, and it was overwhelming the police and the rescue people, so they weren't able to focus on the rescue. They had to do like crowd control with people showing up that weren't like prepared to take part in the rescue effort, untrained and whatever.
Yeah.
And so it really that seemed to be the thing that was like there were these fake messages telling, like, who's writing these a fake message telling people to go help, like, I get the
Yeah.
cat videos and like, or and even some of the ones that were like the city destruction ones and things like that. Like I think a long time ago you and I talked about that research project
Yes.
that was based, and this was like back 2018, 2016, something like that, right? So like generations ago we're talking about AI for sure. But
Yeah.
they were using those images and trying to elicit empathy, right? And
Right.
so and it was like, how it could be used for positive to help people relate to other people's struggles and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But this seems like, yeah, the grossest, weirdest perversion of that.
Mm-hmm.
And for what, right? Like what are
Yeah.
the people who are making this content
Well,
actually making, right?
yeah, and
Like,
what do you think about that? Like, what do you think they are doing? So if somebody like he had that sad little girl in the boat, right? The flood. So and there's probably some from the Texas one too. I imagine I haven't seen any of the fakes on that. Um, but what's the motivation? I mean, is there money to be had, or I mean, from a tech point of view, what do you think?
yeah, there's definitely money to be had, but the real money to be had isn't in the like content creation necessarily. It's with the platforms. The platforms are making money on this, right? Because it's
Uh-huh.
driving engagement and keeping people on the platforms, and therefore they're able to sell their ad revenue, yada yada yada. Um, like they're
Mm,
really the main profiters. Like I looked at what the average like life cycle kind of looks like for one of these content creators who's like just pushing out slop. Um, and it really, well, like you can make, in the like 1 to 3 to 5 ish K a month, perhaps, like if you're able to go viral off of some of these like affiliate links and the platforms that pay you
mhm.
as a producer and stuff. Like the life cycle curve is really short. Like burnout in this is like apparently like really quick. And well, in the US, it might not make sense, like, or, people would probably stop it even earlier. But, like, even in, like, if you think that, like, that type of money in a place where, in like a third world country or in a place where, there isn't this type of economy, that's a lot more than it is here, right? Like, I think it would
Right.
be hard to, like, spend, hours and hours every day and knowing the, the harm you're causing. But, like, people in other countries that, like, or are economically desperate or whatever, like any type of engagement, like they're trying to
Yeah.
get to that number so they can get the money. And it like I think that and again it like the chasing of that dream too is like people think, oh, I'll go viral, I'll make tons of money, but like being able to pivot from producing like slop to then being like an actual like valued content producer, like
Mm,
that pivot does
hmm.
not happen very often. So because like the people who are engaging with your slop are looking to engage with that, they're not really looking for a deeper connection, and they can find that
Yeah.
in 100,000 other places. So
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah. Uh,
interesting.
really interesting. I'm hearing that there is there's profit to be made. It's really on the short term. There's no, real longevity, but the numbers of people who were probably doing it kind of keep it
Oh
raised
yeah.
up, and the pull that it might bring more money and accolades or, whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of like a
Yeah.
false dream, right? Like I think that
Hmm.
people think, oh, I'll go viral and then I'll have
Hmm.
a platform for whatever I want to do.
Hmm.
But this doesn't really translate into that, right? Like if you're known for being a person who puts out, those cat videos or whatever, like that doesn't pivot into much other than like teaching people how to
Right.
make other cat videos, right? Like there's
Right.
not I mean you can, and I think the cycle is to chase whatever the latest fad is, right? Like so that there
True.
is a lot of that, and it's not that it's not work, I think, that
Hmm.
these people are doing, but it's I think on any level, it's not really contributing a lot. And I
Hmm.
think, especially when you think about like how it's taking from artists and
Right.
I
Yes.
think, that was
Definitely
like
on my radar because my
right?
daughter is an animator. She's an artist, and it's kind of scary. Like, is that going to take over that industry that you can really just create something on AI? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But like and that like their art is like being taken and then
Yeah.
used to
Right.
train something that you know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
and you see it
Oh,
across a
yeah,
ton of,
that was in the John Oliver video, right?
yeah,
So John Oliver showed this artist who's known to create these sculptures
wood
out of
carvings.
wood
Yeah.
carvings with his chainsaw. And because that picture existed and it went viral, that got kind of, I guess, fed into the box. So when people were you wanted to create something like that, it riffed off of what he had already actually created in real life.
Right?
That's scary. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Eh,
scary.
yeah, and that like, there's no consent, there's no
No consent, right?
and I know in comedy that's a really big issue as well.
Hmm.
Like even, a year and a half, 2 years ago, that those were some of the early lawsuits coming against some of these large language
Yeah,
models, is because you could have them write jokes in people's, voice and stuff, and because they were
yeah,
trained on material, without compensation and consent, and
yeah.
so yeah, it's definitely um
There's no ethics or regulation for this. I mean, we're putting stuff out there. Every book, every movie, every stand-up routine that's out there is what gets fed into the models. Like people think it's a victimless crime in some ways, right? Because, oh, AI generated this, but it generated it because it learned it from actual human beings who were creating, using their creativity to create new things. So the experience that's coming out of it isn't generated out of thin air. We're losing our right to own our voice, our images, and our creativity.
yeah, I mean, I think that that's really, and I think that was at the heart of a lot of the for people in the movie industry, or at least, I think some of the latest strikes was like there, obviously that's like um you know a public like they've always been kind of owned kind of in the public space a certain amount, like a celebrity, there's like a piece of you that like becomes public. I think
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
that no matter how much you want to try to fight it, like that's kind of a battle, right? And then
Yeah.
but like it's everybody, right? Like I mean it's everybody.
Everybody.
It's everything.
Yeah.
Um
If you're
and
on
you
it, if you're
can't.
using, if you put anything out there at all, you can be, you don't have to be in the spotlight. Your stuff is there. It's teaching these models.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Which I guess is, I think to even think back to last week's podcast we covered with Deepak Chopra, right? Like the idea that at least like real people are putting real things out there, like helps combat the idea of,
Yeah.
right, the cycle that the slop becomes and feeding itself.
Yeah. So what I was really drawn in, and the reason I wanted to talk about this today and wanted, kind of to discuss this topic was, um, John Oliver brought up something called the liar's dividend, which is when you're creating all this fake stuff, it's hard to tell what is really true. Like what is really real. If there's so much fake stuff, then anything else that's coming out could be called fake. And that people who are liars are able to get away with lots of stuff because they can say that true thing is fake, just like all those other fake things. Now, that heightens my, like the hairs on the back of my neck. And really feels scary because it's not that we can't, it's not only that we're having trouble to tell whether or not something's fake, but now we're having trouble to figure out whether something is real or not.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really scary. And I think the idea of, um, I think the John Oliver show that he gave some examples of like things that were real being called fake, right? And like
Right.
it's like the two sides of it. It's you look at it and it's like, is this real? And then like, can I
Yeah.
defend that it's real?
Mhm.
If I'm going to believe it. And it is hard to as technology advances, it gets harder and harder to tell the difference between these things, and it
Yeah.
gets exhausting too. So people stop listening, right?
Yeah.
People stop
So,
engaging.
yeah. So I checked into some research on the liar's dividend because I was really curious about this. And there was a 2021 study that looked at, it was looking at politicians who really got caught in a scandal. Well, what they did was they tried not to use like real current politicians. They used like past politicians. I think they used real politicians in this and real scandals, but nothing current. So that, I looked at the research study. It was done really, I think it was done really well to kind of get rid of any bias about what's happening in the current day. But they looked at these real scandals and they shared them with people in this survey. And some people saw this scandal and were told, how, there were different groups, how they reacted to it, how the politicians reacted to it. So some were fed either the story that there was like an apology or that they stayed silent. Like these were the choices that the politicians can make: stay silent, apologize, or say that was a false claim. Given it's called a liar's dividend, guess what? The people who lied about it, calling it a false claim, actually produced greater dividends. Like it was more believable to
Right.
some people. I think it was like whether or not they would vote for them, or was it more favorable? But it showed that they were more favorable to some people when they said that was a false claim than apologizing or staying silent about this scandal.
Yeah. I mean, it's shocking, right? I feel like we're living it, so it's less shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild. Like I
Yeah.
don't know, like other than like trying to shame people into not doing it,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yeah.
but like I mean, yeah, and it pays off, but I think it kind of goes back that like inherently, I feel like we know that there's some point where that stops returning the dividend, right? Like
Mhm.
when that is and how that plays out individually, um, you know, I don't I don't
I,
know,
I
but
don't think I mean, we're not seeing that now because it's always this is fake, this is fake, this is fake. And the same people are crying kind of this is fake. And in a world where there is a lot of fakes, I think if we weren't living in AI slop world right now, it would be really easy to call that out. I don't think it's as easy, Jackie, because of all the slop that's out there. So this is it. We can leverage disinformation or AI fakes. I loved in John Oliver how they talked about like this one story that was attributed to Carolyn Levitt, but then
oh
somebody else
yeah.
said, no, it wasn't Carolyn Levitt. It was
Tim
really
Bondi.
Bondi. Right. Really interesting.
Right?
Same exact story. There's a voiceover, there's a video, there's like, kind of like a story because people are reading or because people are sharing it, it feels so true,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, look at oh my God, War of the Worlds, right? War of the Worlds, like,
Yeah.
that story went out and
That's so wild.
there was so much advertisement that it was going to be fake, but that didn't stick. The realness or the realistic feel of a news story, really sent people off the deep end thinking,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
aliens really are invading our planet.
Right. I mean, it's
Right.
wild to think about, but yeah, I mean, it is the same. I mean, that one was unintentional. I think these are more
Yeah.
intentional.
Right. That was just for the sake of telling a story. I mean, but there feels like there's more harm in this and more malice.
Yeah.
There's an intention to deceive by saying, oh, that thing that you think is true is really false. That's how I'm going to get away with that.
And I think back to too, it's like I think it's not just being in an AI slop world, it's being in a world that's so interconnected with pretty much infinite data points. I mean, nobody knows everything about everything. And so it's hard to have a conversation sometimes with people where you're like, this isn't like I can show you how this
Uh,
piece isn't accurate, right? And then they're
yeah.
like, yeah, well, what about this? And I've heard stories of
Hmm.
some of the folks that are like supervisors of elections, and they have people who like come and they're patient and they sit with them and they try to like show them, because they want to be open and transparent and show that they're following the,
Yeah.
and so they try to like use evidence to, like, but it's exhausting and the amount of time,
Yeah.
it's like if you want to believe it, there's just plenty more evidence for you out there, and it's hard to get somebody
Yeah.
to take enough of a step back to be like, oh, like some of these things I think are true aren't, I think that's a real hard thing for people to come to terms with.
Yeah. Well, because they can even say your evidence is false. Like, how do I know? We're questioning evidence, whether or not evidence is true or not. There was I think I listened to a TED talk this week too. Gosh, I can't remember who the person was, but he's working in an area that is really educating people on AI. And he gave the tips of like how to tell if a picture's fake, like you have that convergence of perspective, and you're not going to see that in pictures. You're not going to see some shadows and things like that. So I think we've talked about this before about educating ourselves and on topics so that we can make the best decision. Just because someone shows a picture and says, hey, look, here's this fluffy cat who's like swinging from the ceiling fan. How fluffy is that cat? Wow, that's pretty cool. I loved in the John Oliver how the kids had to
Oh,
tell their mom, that's a
so
bear.
funny.
It was
Like,
really
look,
funny.
it's a Canadian giant owl.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah. And so I loved that piece about like what are the markers that can tell you this is fake. The scary part is like, what if what if AI finds that out and is
Right.
able to fake all of that too? Like I can do
Which it
do
will,
a
right?
right. Do a fake picture of such and such, or, create this picture and make sure it has the reality perspective of buildings that are in the back or ground and in the foreground. Like it might be able to do that if we teach it that it should look less fake.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think I mean, it's rapid how quickly some of these things are evolving. Um, and if people, I think the other interesting tell is like, and you see this oftentimes. I recognize it oftentimes the things that get truthed out from the president, right? But like there was something where it was like him and I want to say it was like Netanyahu, and it was like this AI like music video where they were gonna turn Israel's or like the Gaza coast into this like casino land or whatever. But like
Right.
there was also
Yes.
all this like really weird stuff that like had anyone actually watched it beginning to end, like
Yeah.
like how they were like shirtless and feeding each other, like stuff that like would have never flowed, right? But like
Right.
they're so bored by it and disinterested, like they're not actually like paying attention to the whole thing. Like I hope maybe
Right.
that's at least our savior for now is like paying attention
Right. Pay
because
pay
it's
better attention. Is that our takeaway today? We
I
really need
guess
we really need to pay attention, though. I hate to say this to everything, like really not making assumptions, but using critical thinking skills, which is something we don't teach anymore. I used to teach psychology in college, and all I really wanted my students to learn, which was what was really important to me, was critical thinking. This is why I call myself like an ethics nerd. When I look at research studies, I really like look for where are the flaws. Can this really make this assumption
right
here?
this leap, yeah,
Yeah, make this leap. What do the statistics really look like? And if we could teach critical thinking, I think that we would go a long way as a society. I think the loss of critical thinking is really going to feed into the fears and the people believing things and being entrenched in their beliefs. You were mentioning earlier, like just being open to the fact that I might be wrong.
yeah.
Yeah, like so many people are not willing to do that.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
when you said sort of like we're not teaching this critical thinking. I think back to like my kids and when they were little and in the classroom, and if something bad happened or somebody had something they wanted to talk about, they would all get down, they would all sit in a circle, and they would have like the sharing stick, and like you could go and be like, "Hey, did you say this?" And like everybody's there, right? Everybody that like
Right.
participate, like there's nowhere to really like hide. And you have to have account, and then you have accountability, but like in this world there's everywhere to hide, and like there's sometimes you don't even know who to ask the question to. So
Yeah. Oh my
it's
goodness, that's a whole other topic because yeah, people can hide behind anonymous member in a group, or people say things online that they would never say face
never
to face
say.
to a
Yeah,
person. So that's a whole other thing. So my takeaway is more critical thinking and like kind of sharing this topic with other people to be just more aware of the information that they're taking in.
for sure.
Hmm.
I loved the takeaway that John Oliver ended on, where he had the actual artist come
Yeah.
and make a piece of did a carving that was like the weird AI cabbage
The
man.
cabbage man.
And so I took a little inspiration from that. And if I can share my screen with you real quick,
Yeah.
I
Hey.
will show you my favorite AI slop image.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
awesome. Great.
um, I
You can share.
I decided to, and I'm not an
Ah.
artist. Um, so this is
Oh my goodness.
so it's
Yeah.
Caroline Levitt. It's back when everybody was calling Trump Taco around the
Yes.
trades, and so she was Taco Bell. Belle is my favorite princess, so I had a lot of mixed feelings about this. But I did think it was hilarious, and it
That
still
is
makes me laugh
hilarious.
months later or whatever. And so I did my own rendition of
Ah, I love
Taco
it.
Bell. It's very bad, but that's why we leave art to the real artists. But it was therapeutic, so
I
maybe
love
make some
that.
art also.
That reminds me of one of my favorite ones. When as soon as I saw that, reminded me of the woman with the cat
Oh
skirt.
yeah,
Have you seen that? There's all the cats.
yeah.
For the first time, I said, like, what is happening? What is going on? There are docile cats that will do stuff. There's like this guy who has like these three cats that he takes them to Paris, and this is not AI. Puts little hats on them. They
Right.
on his back. So like there are docile cats out there, but not,
Not cat skirt.
47 or 87 cats. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that with me. I got a good laugh on that one today. Yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you for sharing this episode. I think it's awesome. I enjoy our time. I enjoy getting to have these fun little like looks into the things that are interesting for us at the intersection of tech and wellness and ethics and all that good stuff. So we're
Yeah.
we're grateful, obviously, for all of our listeners.
Yeah, really grateful for our listeners. Thank you for listening. And if you have comments about this, we would love to hear. What did you, I always want to ask people like, what did you get duped on? Like what was the best fake that you had took you some time to figure out. Maybe some people will share with us there
For sure.
yeah, great. Thanks,
Awesome.
Jackie.
Thanks,
Take care.
Toni. Talk to you
You
soon.
too.
Bye bye.
Bye.